mechanic that we got feedback on is the total deletion. The total deletion is something that we've always talked about because it's the most important part of the game, but it's almost become a too much important part of the game. So just to hit on it for the new players, the way the total deletion works is, to score in Johnny Drip Drip, you have to mount the raft. In the case when there are half bases are occupied by runners, and a person is up to bat, if they hit and there's 3 people for 2 bases, the total deletion comes into effect, and if the defense or the sentinel on top of the raft touches the raft, everybody is out. So that's how it currently works. A proposed change would keep with the spirit of the total deletion while allowing for the game to breathe a little bit more and maybe not always end on total deletions. So looking at the same scenario here, the half bases still have no order, there's no force outs, but in the case where both half bases are occupied, as you see here, the deletion would come into play. To secure deletion, eliminating both players, the defense could touch the ball at the top of the raft before either of the runners mounted the raft, or of course the batter. If the offense has 1 or 2 outs, the deletion would record 2 outs or 1 out respectively, and would end the side. But this would continue play in the case where there was 0 outs, as you'll see on the next page. And this is represented here where both of the runners in the water are shown as out. So we'll say that this team has touched the ball to the raft. Now, this batter is not out. He has a chance to either go to one of these 2 half bases before the sentinel or another defender can tag him out. This adds just one other element to the game where if the sentinel records the deletion and they jump off the raft and tag the batter, they would record a total deletion, which is a new stat. The last gameplay adjustment, and this is more of a larger scale thing, is the length of games. Typically, each game is 4 innings, and historically we have played 5 total games. But this year we're going to be adding one more team, and with one more team comes more games that need to be played. This means at least one additional seeding game and one extra tournament game must be played. So this means we're going to need to fit 7 games into a weekend. We usually fit 5. The only way I think we can do that is by reducing the 4 seeding games to 3 inning games rather than 4. I don't think this will really affect the competitiveness of the game, and I have a little quick slide that can maybe prove that here. I'll show you next. I've compiled the 10 games that took place the previous 2 years in Johnny Drip Drip, and if you look at all of them, there's only one game where there isn't an inning that both teams didn't score. So to me, that at least tells us that the game is very dependent on scoring, yes, but it's also a game that isn't going to be entirely determined by one inning, and I think that it's totally fair for fitting in all the games we need this year to say that the seeding games are going to be a little bit shorter. So the next big item covered in the feedback forum was the equipment. A couple things people talked about were some anti-slip pads, maybe updating the chairs that we use for stands under the bases, and to maintain those barrels. I put some checks here because myself, Ian, and Wyatt on the equipment management team are already working on some things here. You'll hear some more stuff later. There was a funny response by Spencer here, talking about maybe this guy getting sunburned, so you should maybe wear sunscreen or something like that. And there was some pitching mound dialogue, but we didn't really follow up on anything there. If you really want that to be a thing this year, reach out or help out. Next up, we got to the food and drink situation, which is generally just the part where we say Nathan does a very good job, but here it might be useful even for you, Nathan, to pause it here and check this stuff out. So yeah, he's very good. He's the food overlord. It was delicious. This may be useful. Maybe some Panera, Kobe beef. That could be a big deal. I don't know. Either way, it's a great time. The food is awesome. So we appreciate that guy. Okay, next up, we talked about the weekend structure. How do we think the activities are broken down? What do people think about that? The big thing people talked about here were games and when they're played. Generally, we ended the year with games on Sunday, but as we already discussed, I think this year we're going to try to end them on Saturday. So that seems to be in line with what a lot of people thought. And then also a lot of discussions around the river trip. Most people think it's better that we got rid of it, and I do agree, but I think there is a way we could still do it in the future. if possible. But yeah, it works the best this way without it. But let's see that weekend structure chart again just to kind of drive this home. So looking at this, we see the games are all kind of concentrated to Friday and Saturday, so that's in line with people wanted there. Um, but the one thing that I had mentioned about the river trip is, and again, this isn't for this year, but if anybody's on board ever, just let me know because I will make it more of a thing for the group if people are down. Um, I already get Thursday off work, and I think a good amount of people did. I wouldn't be opposed to coming up Wednesday night and doing that river trip Thursday morning. It would extend things even more and make it a bit more elaborate of a weekend, but the river trip was a great time, and it doesn't really fit in the full weekend we have, but again, extending the weekend, hey, maybe that's in the future. The next part of the forum focused on the production of Johnny Drip Drip and things like sound, video, and overall pageantry. So here are some of the things that people had to say about that. And one thing that I got some feedback on that kind of led to creating the committees of production team were people saying, hey, they'd be serious about doing sound and data recording. Evan says he'd like to be the head of broadcasting. So as you can see, this was a pretty good area because it showed that other people, were interested in the production and increasing there. So there's a couple spots we're going to talk more about later. But again, like I said, the big thing is sound, setup, video, all these kind of things that we're currently working on now. Over here you see Luke, and that's because he has a cool motion activated GoPro that we're going to try to use on the raft this year to catch some of our big plays. And lastly, there was some other general feedback as well, such as that we need to get a metal detector sweep for nails, which that might be a good one, but even just generally, maybe getting some more first aid kit stuff might be beneficial. It's generally a pretty safe place, but hey, it can't hurt to be prepared. Another good one, this came about, I think, on New Year's Eve. Juliet and Sam came up with this IV drip station that Juliet would be totally on board with running if any people were interested in having an IV the morning before the championship game. I don't know how serious people are about that. I'm not so interested in it because I don't love needles, but she said that it's a thing that she could do, and Sam is apparently into the idea, so follow up if you're into the idea also. This concludes the feedback form part of this video. Now let's talk about a few last things before we're done. The first of which are some new stats. We already talked about the first of these in the total deletion to deletion change. We know now that a player will record one total deletion if they record 2 outs with a deletion and tag the batter out to record 3 of 3 outs in an inning. Additionally, say hello to the snag. This occurs when a player catches a live ball in the air. This was already one of the coolest parts of the game, but we didn't really have any way to commemorate it, so now we do. There is a rare case outlined here, and it's just to say that it's still a total deletion if the sentinel records the snag, which would make the batter be out before the 2 runners. So if he gets the snag and touches the raft, it's still a total deletion. Here you can see a couple examples of snags from last season that we have pulled. They look pretty cool. Well, now we'll remember it even better. We finally made it. It's time to get involved with the drip. As you can see, here are all the pins where things we were talking about earlier are going to come back up and be important again. So it takes a lot of work to make Johnny Drip Drip such a big weekend, and there's a lot of people helping out. There's also some things that maybe we could use some help on. So if you're interested in any of these things, just reach out, let us know. First is, we're looking for a transportation or a parking coordinator, somebody who's going to really evaluate the carpooling, get us the least amount of cars up there, maybe work on organizing a different place for people to park in town and shuttling people to the cabin, especially if we try to have that secondary tent or RV sleeping area. Next up, some alternate commentators. This is by order of our head broadcaster, Evan. So Evan wants to have maybe some color commentators, people from each team who could hop on the mic with him when he's talking about his ad reads, when he's looking to get some excellent insight. Maybe that could be you. These last 2 positions are more hypothetical, not necessarily things I expect to do anytime soon, but if you're interested in these things, let me know. First up is outreach or sponsorship. So we've gotten some sponsors from Sam or Big Joe C. Well, we'd like to see what else we can obtain. This could entail even like reaching out to companies and saying, we have all these guys, playing this game. Can you give us a bunch of, I don't know, Liquid IV, something like that. It's not something that I expect anybody to do, but hey, it would be funny, and just even like the fake sponsorships are a great time too. And lastly, there's all these videos, all these stats, all these things. I have them somewhat organized, but if anybody wanted to become a drip historian or the webmaster to pull all these things together, they could definitely be better organized. So let me know if any of these things interest you. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me through what seems like it was, I don't know, it's probably going to be 25 minutes or so for you. I feel like I was recording this thing for 6 hours. Anyway, we're in it. We have a new season. It's Johnny Drip Drip, 5-year anniversary. It's going to be awesome. Follow up on this. I'll follow up with stuff. Yeah, it's probably time to drip, rock, and roll.